to Chalkless Talks. My name is Chuck Bulow. I'm the VP of Business Development. We have Rincy today. She's going to be making the presentation on the new metadata import for EMAM. If you do have any questions, go ahead and add those to the webinar question section, and then we'll go ahead and get those answered at the end of the event or presentation today. So without further ado, Rincy, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chuck. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Chalkless Talk session. My name is Rincy Abraham, and I'm the project manager at EMAM. Today, I'll be introducing you to our new metadata module, which is a powerful module designed to simplify and streamline bulk metadata updates in EMAM. As you all know, efficient metadata management is critical for searchability and organization of assets, and this module helps you streamline that process significantly. Here's a quick overview of what we'll cover today. First, I'll start with the challenges users typically face with metadata management and bulk metadata imports. Then I'll introduce you to our new metadata import module. We'll go through its key benefits, followed by high-level import workflow of how it works. I'll also share some best practices to help you get most out of it. Then I'll briefly cover the support options available, and finally, we can have a quick demo. So let's look at some challenges users face today when doing the bulk metadata update. As you all know, bulk metadata updates are often time-consuming and manual process. The current process is a little complex with multiple steps like downloading the template, replacing column headings with standard IDs, etc. Because of all these manual steps involved, there's a high risk of human error, thus impacting the searchability and the usability of the assets. It's also required to have some kind of Excel expertise, like doing the VLOOKUP, which not every user might be good at. And finally, there's also limited visibility into whether metadata updates were successful or not, even if it failed, what was the reason for the failure, etc. To overcome all these challenges, there was a need for a more efficient approach, which led us to design a new automated module that reduces manual efforts and improves efficiency. And that's why we introduced a new metadata import module, which is an automated solution specifically built to simplify the bulk metadata ingestion. With this, users can easily upload the files, do a match and map with the necessary fields in EMAM, import the metadata in a very structured and streamlined way. This simple method eliminates hours of tedious administrative work while instantly adding structure to your media library. Ultimately, we wanted to cut out the complexity and make the process more simple and user-friendly and completely streamline the entire metadata import experience. Now let's look into some of the key benefits which this module brings to you. Unlike the old process, here users can directly upload the Excel or the CSV files without modifying it. This significantly reduces the manual efforts and the errors resulting in the faster bulk updates. One of the biggest improvement is better error handling. You get detailed result file after each import. Users can directly download this result file, identify which items successfully passed the import process and which items failed, what is the reason of the failure. Users can go ahead and fix these errors, re-upload only the failed rows instead of starting all over again. Another benefit is it's built to scale, like it can handle large data sets very efficiently. So now let's look into some of the prerequisites, which are very basic, like assets must already exist in EMAM. The source file must be in CSV or Excel format. You need a unique matching column, and that can be the asset ID, the file name, or the title. And the metadata fields must be properly aligned for mapping. Here's a high-level overview of the workflow. You just start with the data preparation, and that's just the basic. You need to make sure you have the matching column, the metadata field that needs to be mapped. You upload the source file, do a match and map of the fields in EMAM, run the import, review the results, and you also have option to download the result file, fix the errors as needed, and re-upload the um, um, failed rows after you have fixed it. So yeah, this is how simple it is. You can easily update the bulk metadata of all the assets in EMAM. So this structured process ensures better accuracy and control. To ensure smooth imports, here are a few best practices that you can follow. First one is it's always recommended to use the asset ID for matching with the assets in EMAM. Because file name and title can have duplicates in the system, but asset ID is a unique ID that's automatically assigned to each assets. Those are ingested to EMAM. Second, always test with smaller batches before running the larger imports. Review the results after each run. Fix only the failed records, and then you can do a re-upload. Okay, so that's all about a new metadata import module. If you need any help or you have, we have multiple support options. You can directly visit our EMAM support portal, or you can also email our support team at support@emamsolutions.com for troubleshooting, guidance, documentation, or any queries relating to this module. Okay, so let's move to the demo. I'll walk you through the complete bulk metadata import process. This will give you a practical understanding of how simple and efficient the new metadata import module is. So let's dive in. Okay, so before getting into the process, I quickly want to show you this metadata sheet or the source file that I'll be using for testing and uploading to EMAM for the bulk update. So here's the sheet. This is the sheet with a lot of asset details. The first column, as you see, is the asset ID, and asset ID, this is the column that I'll be using for matching with the assets in EMAM. If you do not have the asset ID, it doesn't matter. You can go with the file name or maybe the title, but ideally it is always recommended to go with the asset ID because it's going to be an exact match. I also have the file name, and these are the these three columns are the metadata fields that I want to update for the assets in EMAM. So these are the values. So this is my sheet, sample sheet. Now let's log into EMAM Director interface and start with the bulk metadata import process. So you log in with your credentials. Here's the EMAM homepage, and you need to have this browse widget on your workspace. Under the browse widget thumbnail view, you see this options menu. Under the options, you will see an option called metadata import. Just click on metadata import. This will open up a new page, that's metadata import wizard. So this is the one that we'll be using for bulk metadata updates. As you can see, there are 4 steps to it: upload, match and map, import, and results. So the first step is to upload your source file. There are 2 options. You can either drag and drop the Excel file, or you can browse and choose that particular file from your local system. So here, let me choose that file. So this is my file. The file is uploaded, and once the file is uploaded, you can see the file name, the number of columns in that file, and also the number of rows in that file. So now click on next, match and map. So under match and map, again, you'll see the file details. The second section is asset matching. Like I mentioned, for asset matching, you can either go with asset ID, title, or file name. So here I'm going with asset ID because my Excel sheet has one column called asset ID. But if you do not have that, you can definitely go with file name or title, whatever is there in that particular sheet in your source file. So asset ID is already matched. For column mapping, in my Excel column, all these columns are there, and this is the target field in the EMAM. Since I want to match only these custom metadata fields, that's the audio ID, image ID, and license. So it's already selected with those parameters. The other fields that you do not want to match, you can choose it as ignore. And only these three fields will be mapped with the metadata values. So once you have all those things set, just click on Start Import. So now the metadata import process has begun. And immediately, since this is not a big sheet, immediately the results are displayed. As you can see, it will show the total number of rows that were attempted, 31 rows, and out of which 30 were successfully updated and only one has failed. And the reason of failure is displayed over here. It will display the row which has failed and what is the reason for the failure. Here, if you see, it's saying invalid asset ID. So if the number of failures are more, if the number of assets that fail to update, if it's more, it will be displayed over here. And you can see the detailed report over here. Just click on download result file. So let me just open that file. Okay, so this is the file. So you have all the details that we had shared with the module. Other than that, there are two new, actually there are these three are new columns, but two columns that you need to concentrate or look for is the asset status and the import reason. So asset status basically displays whether it's success or failure. So all these are success and only one asset has failed to update the metadata, and this is the import reason. That's the invalid asset ID. The other columns basically are wherein the module is trying to match that particular asset's asset ID, the file name, and the title. So it will just display it over here. But the column that we have taken for matching is just the asset ID. So based on the failed reason, you can go ahead and rectify it and do a re-upload. So for re-upload, you can just go over here and click on Start Another Upload. And again, you can choose the file and do a re-upload. So before that, we'll just check whether this success will just copy one of the asset ID and check whether the metadata values got updated to that particular asset. So since it's asset ID, I'll go to advanced search in. I'll just remove all these parameters. I'll click asset ID, key in the asset ID and do a search. So this is the asset that I wanted to update. Go to the metadata widget, go to the metadata group, wherein that metadata field that needs to be updated. So this is my group. And yeah, so as you can see, these fields, the audio ID, image ID, and license, the data is updated. 21 to 68 old, it is updated over here. So it has correctly updated. And so yeah, that is how simple the new metadata module is. And depending on how large you update the metadata, it can be during the migration, it can easily handle large data sets. So yeah, that's all about our new metadata import module for today. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Thanks, Rincy. Great job. How did you create that spreadsheet with all the asset IDs? Did you use the browser widget and then export information?
Yes. I just searched for the assets and selected, if you can see, sorry, in the list view, there is an option to export the asset files, right? So based on, just select the parameters that you want to choose for your file. I've selected the asset ID and then the other parameters, including the custom metadata. So here, the asset ID, the file name, or whatever you want to select, and the custom metadata ID, custom metadata fields. Just select those and just do an export of the sheet, and you'll get the file asset details with the asset ID. Perfect. But if you do not have the asset ID, the file name and title can also be used, but chances of errors can happen because duplicates for the file name or the title can be there. So just need to be cautious of that.
All right, sounds good. And then looks like pretty easy little way to update a lot of metadata. So All right, great. That was all the questions we had, and appreciate your attendance. And thank you, Rincy. Great job. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jack. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.